experience a life of fulfillment and unleash your highest potential by understanding the intricate mechanics of your identity. This self-discovery journey we're going to take is unlike any other. We will uncover the mystery of the most powerful belief you hold, your identity, and why you need to understand this if you want to transform into the person you want to become so that you can create the life you want to live. For most of my life, I thought that I needed to acquire things, make lots of money, uh, get a nice car, get a nice house, or acquire or have achievements. And then that was going to give me what I wanted, and that would make me who I want to be. And if that were true, then we would not have the syndromes that people deal with, um, where people are very successful on paper and they don't feel it, and we call it imposter syndrome. So having those things, achieving those things doesn't necessarily make you happy, and we'll get into this. And it's directly connected to your identity, your sense of self. And before we dive into this, two things, little housekeeping, just two quick things. If you're watching this live right now, please type live in the comments. This helps us a lot. And if you're watching this later when I'm not live, please type replay into the comments there. The second thing is I injured my ribs last night doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu while I was sparring. And the reason I'm telling you this is because even the slightest movement sometimes causes my rib cage to contract, and it's quite painful. And especially if I have to cough or anything like that, it's quite painful. So if you see me making faces like this, that's why. Just so you know that nothing weird's going on. All right. Hopefully I'll be better soon. It's quite painful if you've ever had your ribs injured. I don't recommend it. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. Your experiences shape who you believe yourself to be. From as early as possible when you're born, you have all this information coming at you from all five senses. And as a baby, you develop a personality by learning how to sort that information into something meaningful, something that makes sense to you. And so we apply this whole idea of an experience, which has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, life doesn't really have that. You've never experienced a beginning. You've never experienced an end. Truthfully, honestly, you have not. You don't remember being born. So as an experience, you don't have that. We know you were born. We know that happened. But as an experience, you didn't have enough of a way to put that together, to organize that information, to create what we call an experience. You're not dead. You're here live with me, or later when you're watching this. So you haven't experienced a true ending. But we divide life up into what we call experiences. And that is subjective. Some people say, well, no, that this thing actually happened to me. And I would say, yes, I agree with you. I'm sure it actually did happen to you. But when we give it a beginning and we give it an end, which means it also has a middle, we are applying our subjectivity to, we could say, an objective reality that then causes you to create a certain meaning around that, and we call it an experience. We could call that a good experience, a bad experience, however, whatever meaning you apply to it. So experience itself is subjective, and we absolutely have to do this in order to make sense of the world around us. Now, what happens is we have experiences, and people, probably our parents mostly when we're growing up, but also later when we're around other authority figures and teachers, they will apply certain meanings to experiences you're having and attach that to you. So, for example, you go to school, you get an A on a test, the teacher tells you, wow, you're really smart. So they're using this pronoun your, so you meaning referencing you, and something about being smart. And it's also connected to getting an A on this test. So you're sort of connecting the dots here. And then you bring that test paper home, you show your parents, and then they say the same thing. Wow, you're really smart. Oh, there's that thing again. There's that word, smart. So you start to put together, you start connecting more dots, you get further confirmation. And then your mother puts the test paper on the refrigerator, and the neighbors come over and they say, wow, your son or daughter is really smart. There's that word again. And so you start to select and collect these experiences and attaching them to this referenced self. I am a smart person. Now, unfortunately, the opposite way is true too. Many kids will be told that they're stupid, and they'll get told this a few times, and then it'll be attached to maybe something they did or something like that. And then they select and collect enough of these experiences until they generalize themselves as being stupid or unintelligent. So it can go either way. And sometimes we have beliefs about ourselves that are somewhere in between. We call those ambiguous beliefs or ambiguous qualities. So you're selecting and collecting information based on what we call experience. You're applying these beginnings, middles, and ends to just what is actually a stream of consciousness that has had no interruption whatsoever. It's just been from start, the time you were born, the time that the lights of your awareness came on. You have been experiencing actually truly one unbroken sense of awareness consciousness that has been continuously going on for you. However, for us to make sense of the world around us and of ourselves, we have to break that up into individual experiences. And then we take those experiences and we select and collect them into categories that we'll call generalizations. And many of those generalizations are about you, what you believe about yourself. And what you believe about yourself basically informs all of your other beliefs. There's no way of disconnecting beliefs you have about the world around you from the beliefs you have about yourself. I'll give you an example. If I believe that I live in a hostile world, what must I believe about myself in order for that to be true? More than likely, I believe that I'm a victim. And if I believe I'm a victim, that means I live in a hostile world. What if I change that belief about myself that I'm not a victim anymore, that I thrive, I'm a success, I'm an achiever, whatever my values are? But not only am I going to feel really good about myself, and it will also become a self fulfilling prophecy because I believe it about myself, I will act in alignment with that and do those things. But my belief about the world will have to change. I certainly acknowledge there is hostility in the world. I'm not going to blind myself to that. But in addition to hostility, I can also believe that I live in a world full of opportunity, full of mostly wonderful people. And that's probably going to support my fulfillment quite a bit, won't it? But if we just change our beliefs about the external, which is what most people do, that's what they work on. They say, oh, I have a limiting belief about the economy, about my business, about this job that I'm having or that I'm doing. And they want to change their belief about that. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing to do. But when they change their belief about that, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to transform, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to change at the identity level. So that belief might only change within that context, meaning, okay, I'll change my belief about my career. I I will believe that this career that I'm embarking on has plenty of opportunity. And, maybe previous to that, I believed it didn't have much opportunity. And now I go, no, I'm committed to this. I'm going to believe that. And because I believe that, I'm going to find those opportunities. Will that really transform you at the identity level? Probably not. It'll probably just give you that change that you want in that particular context, in the context of your career. So it doesn't really change much. But if you change at the identity level, it has far reaching consequences. And when I say consequences, I mean that in a good way. When you change at the identity level, you're talking about the one common factor you bring everywhere. You. You are the common factor among all of your experiences in every context that you're in, no matter who you're with. So when you change at the identity level, you're going to change across all contexts. And as long as that change that you make is aligned with your values, it's almost always going to be absolutely wonderful and amazing. That change is going to really support your fulfillment. Because when we act in alignment with our values, that is what creates self esteem and confidence. And we talk a lot about believing in ourselves. What does that really mean? If I stop believing in myself, will I stop existing? Of course not. I think what most people mean is that they believe in themselves that they can do certain things, right? And we hear a lot that, oh, you just got to believe in yourself, as if it's something you can just go and buy off the shelf, right? Oh yeah, that's the problem. All I needed to do was just believe in myself. Wow, glad somebody told me that. Now, okay, I believe in myself now, and I'm going about my life, and everything's great now. Of course, that never happens. I think what people mean is that believe in your abilities, believe in your capability, believe in what you can do, that you can do the things that you want to do so that you can have confidence about it. You can't fake that though. And there's plenty of competent people who don't feel confident about themselves. And all this really is a matter of how we organize the information of who we are. Now, unfortunately, in personal development, in the field of personal development, most people are preaching going at things like fulfillment and confidence and self-esteem directly. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, nothing's absolute, right? But let's take self-esteem. You want to feel better about yourself. Okay. How do you do that? Just by deciding you're going to feel better about yourself? I've tried that many times. Doesn't really work. So a lot of times people will use affirmations. Very popular, right? But if you're telling yourself something you don't really believe, then you will create an internal conflict, first of all. And if there's nothing really attached to it, no real life data, no real life information that is attached to the feelings you're trying to create, then those feelings are just going to dissipate very quickly. So, for example, if I tell myself that I'm a millionaire and I'm not a millionaire, there's a part of me that's going to say, no, you're not. And somehow you're going to have to reconcile that difference. And what likely will happen at that point is you'll go to war with yourself. And I talked about that on the last live yesterday about resistance. Now, if I tell myself I'm happy, and that's my affirmation, and again, some part of me doesn't believe it, then again, I create a conflict in myself. Just telling myself that I'm happy when I'm not is not going to suddenly make me happy, especially if I'm not connecting that to real world, real life experiences that I've had where I was happy. If I just say I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, and I'm not connecting it with anything like I'm happy, and here's 1,000 examples of why I'm a happy person. Now that's different. That's completely different. This is where we start to build our self concept, the idea of who we are, the belief of who we are. We base it on examples in our lives of the experiences we've had. There's that word again, experience. So trying to go directly at things like self-esteem and confidence and fulfillment, it just doesn't work. But you can go back to the things that the feelings that you have experienced in life, and they will tell you a lot of information if you're willing to sit with them and discover what created that feeling. We have this tendency to think that feelings are just random, they float around, they happen from time to time. We try to get our hands on them and try to hold on to them. But it's like trying to grab on the smoke, right? It just disappears. That's not how feelings actually work, though. Feelings actually work by you take in information, and your evaluation of that information causes you to feel something. And that can be an evaluative feeling or it can be an emotional feeling. Now, most of the time, this is completely unconscious, which is why we think we just have feelings. We're not conscious of the other half. We're not conscious of the scope that we're evaluating, the internal representations, or sometimes they're external representations. When that happens, when we see something externally and we feel something, we're usually pretty aware of what caused that. The stuff that we're not aware of is when we have feelings and the representations were internal, which often means they were unconscious. And so you don't know why you're feeling sad, or you don't know why you're feeling happy. Maybe you're just feeling happy. Your unconscious is evaluating information, representations of perhaps memories or perhaps things that you want to happen. And that's what gives you the good feelings. Now, when you start to understand this, then you start to understand how you create the meaning of you. How do I create the meaning of me? You start with those experiences that I was talking about, and you're organizing all the information, and you're noticing that some of these experiences have to do with this reference called I, me. And so I select and collect these experiences until they start to formulate what we call generalizations. And this is part of that evaluation that I was talking about. If I've had a lot of happy experiences and minimal depressing experiences or sad experiences, then I'm going to generalize myself to be a happy person. Now, we can, and this is when you start to learn this stuff, it becomes very powerful. You could say, no, I've had more sad experiences than I've had happy experiences in life. Therefore, what you're telling me, Damon, will not help me. And I would say that's not true. You actually don't know. You actually don't know if you've had more happy experiences or more sad experiences. There's no way to know that. What you are doing, if you feel more unhappy than you feel happy, is both consciously and unconsciously, you're paying more attention to those unhappy experiences. And that has to do with an internal organization that was haphazardly created as your personality was developing. And we can actually know this. We can actually elicit that structure. So you select and collect these experiences until you create generalizations about yourself. And then as you bring all of the generalizations you make about yourself, and when I say generalization, you can use the word belief interchangeably as well. So these beliefs about yourself, they're aspects of who you believe yourself to be. I'm a happy person. I'm a kind person. I'm a successful person. It's also all the negatives you believe about yourself, which could be just the opposite. I'm a pessimist. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I can make all of those same generalizations about myself. You could also have ones that are in between. Sometimes I'm a failure and sometimes I'm a success. Sometimes I'm an optimist, sometimes I'm a pessimist. Just know that whatever you believe about yourself, if any of your beliefs are not in alignment with your values, that's when you experience lower self-esteem and lower confidence about who you are. So, in order to build a strong sense of self, a stable sense of self, one that supports your self-esteem and your confidence, is to become the qualities that you value. If you value success and you believe you are a success, you're going to feel good about yourself. And because you believe it, you will act in alignment in accordance with being a successful person if you truly believe it. And when you do that, you will find those opportunities. And because you're putting yourself out there more and because you're trying more, you're going to have successes. And every time that happens, your successes then confirm your belief that you are a success. So you gain even greater confidence about that. Your self-esteem goes up even higher. And then you do more. Your behavior continues to align more and more with that belief about yourself. And so it becomes a compounding process that just continues to compound on itself. And so the key here is to know what you value, to know what you truly believe about yourself as well, which most people aren't willing to take the time to do that because they're often afraid of what they might find. They're afraid that they believe very negative things about themselves, so they'd rather not think about it. Or they can think of the things they wish they believed about themselves, but then they deep down they don't feel like it's true. So that makes them feel bad. And yes, that will. If you're again, if you don't believe you are the person who well, is your values, are your values, then yes, that's going to feel bad. But you can change this. You can absolutely change this. So I'm going to go through that pattern or that model of how you create yourself one more time. That is, you have experiences. You select and collect those experiences into generalizations where you create beliefs about who you are. And then when you bring all those beliefs together and generalize that, that's your sense of self. That's your self concept. That's your identity. So your identity is one big generalization based on many generalizations, which we can call qualities. Now, how you feel about that generalization you call self or identity is what your self esteem is. You could also call it confidence. So trying to go at self-esteem and confidence directly doesn't work. And if it works, it's very, very temporary, very fleeting. So you have to go to the level of the qualities and reorganize your experiences so that you change your beliefs about yourself so that they align with your values. And every time you do that for every quality about yourself, you transform your identity. And you can do that for all of your values, until you believe that you are, in fact, all of your values, that you possess your values as qualities of who you are, not fleeting feelings, not fleeting states, but being very, very stable in who you believe yourself to be. And you're basing this on actual experiences that you've experienced in your life. So it's not based on like just trying to tell yourself over and over that you are something that you don't believe. No, you have to find how is it you're creating a belief you feel certain about to begin with. When you model that, then you can map in whatever information you want to then create that belief. And trust me, by the time you're an adult, you have had plenty of experience, plenty of data to be any quality that you want to be. Right now, whatever life you're living right now, to whatever degree of happiness you're experiencing and fulfillment that you're experiencing, to whatever degree of self esteem you're experiencing and confidence, just know that you are 1/1,000,000th of a possibility of who you could be, for better and worse. And again, it really comes down to how you structure and organize your experiences. Put that power in your hands and you can do anything. You can transform anything. Now, how to exactly do that is beyond the scope of this video because we have an entire 18-month training program where we teach people how to do this. So, you know, that's 18 months of lots of training. Not going to dump all of that into one live or even many lives. Uh, and anyway, it's an involved process. Anyone can learn it. It doesn't take a genius or anyone who has special talents or anything like that. Everybody in our program is making it work. They're learning it. They're doing it, and it's just amazing to watch. All right. So, in conclusion, what I've explained here comes from an NLP model called the self concept model, which was created by my late mentor, Steve Andreas. I am the only person who he ever endorsed to teach this model. I consider myself one of the most fortunate people for that. It is the basis of everything that I teach, and it's the basis of my coaching practice because it is the most powerful model I have ever encountered. All of your beliefs about anything, first start with your beliefs about yourself. When you transform your beliefs about yourself, it will appear as though reality itself has transformed because the beliefs you have about yourself are the basis of your reality. When you understand this, you can change it. When you can change yourself at the identity level, that's what transformation is. You become transformational, and your life will never be the same again. I assure you. All right. Before I read the comments and see if there's any questions to answer, um, if you would, and this helps you to solidify anything that you've learned here, think about what is your biggest takeaway from what I've said here, and then post that in the comments. When you write out your biggest takeaways from something, it helps you learn it even deeper. It helps you remember it too. All right, let me see what we got here. All right. Wow, lots of people here. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, thank you for the well wishes on healing my ribs. Yeah, definitely not fun. Affirmations versus hypnosis. I'm just not a believer in affirmations. I think it's possible to create affirmations that can be useful, but you have to be very cautious and careful because of what you might presuppose in those things in affirmations. And like I said about causing an internal conflict, because if you're saying something that you don't truly believe to yourself over and over, you're going to create friction inside. Hypnosis is great if you know how to use it and you know how to use it effectively. I certainly have, both on myself and with clients, and I've had people hypnotize me. I think it works really well. Most of NLP is, not most of it, maybe a large chunk of NLP is based off of hypnosis. 1,000 reasons of why I'm happy. That's good. Thank you again for the get well soon. I think they're afraid of the unconscious contents rooted in childhood. That could be a possibility. What do you do with counterexamples that are different modality but same location? I try to change it to the same modality and the same location, then it goes back. Well, that's a resistance issue. You need to get in touch with what the positive intention is of it changing back, and then integrate that resistance. How do I use NLP to overcome anxious, preoccupied attachment style? It's ruining everything. Okay, so there's multiple NLP processes for that. You just try everything you can until something changes. When it comes to anxiety, that's typically fast phobia process would be good for that. You could also use swish pattern for that one as well. Is the stream or is it my internet connection acting up? Hopefully it's not the stream. I think it died somehow. There's my self concept. I'm not sure what that means. All right. I hope the stream was fine. All right, the key is to work on my self-concept. Okay, I think the training will probably reflect a humanistic approach for finding our best selves through our free will, and not be afraid of the unconscious content. Yeah, I think what's really scares people about facing up or, facing some of the things that they might be afraid of about themselves is not feeling like you have good tools to deal with that. And so that's why you're here, to learn those tools. Um, because there's a bunch of them, and you will find ones that work really well for you, and then you'll stick with those, and they become a lifelong practice. So I got some good points about affirmations and never felt comfortable with the idea and never even tried it. Okay, yeah. Reorganize experiences to align with values will equal a change in identity. Thank you. Okay, thank you. My idea about myself is based on real life experience and the meaning I assign, not merely ideas. Good. How young is too young to help little kids? I don't know. I don't really. I mean, I have kids. I don't work with kids. That's a tough one. I would. Young adults are usually really good with this stuff. Their minds are very flexible and sharp. I don't know what age a person can really pay attention enough to work with these things. So I don't really know. Okay, we got more good stuff coming. I know this one probably was a little more esoteric. It's a big study. There's a lot to understand. It's not difficult. It's not hard. You can certainly understand it. There's just a lot of parts to it. And if you think about it, that would be about right because we're talking about something as complex and sophisticated as your identity. But I'm telling you, when you get this one down, it's unlike anything else because you have all these techniques, not just in NLP, but in other psychology or personal development. And most of these techniques are probably good solutions for a limited scope. They're good solutions for one problem in your life or one context or area of your life. But when you learn how to transform yourself, then the changes are so far and wide reaching that it often solves problems you didn't even know you had or you weren't even consciously aware of. Self-perception is a filter through which one perceives and experiences the world. Thank you. Yes, NLP is full of fantastic techniques. Okay, great. All right, I will see all of you, hopefully, tomorrow. We got another live. This was only the third live. We have 27 more lives to go. So a lot more to learn. And I hope you're taking it all in. Feel free to rewatch to make sure you get these ideas down. Make sure they really sink in. All right, I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.